Ooh, did a rocket then. Yes, we'll talk about the rocket in a few minutes. Welcome everyone, Maté Talk time. Boom, bada bing, bing, boom. Let's put the classic opening to Maté Talk. Now, I'm gonna keep going. My brain's going, stop, reset. Do you know what? We're friends, right? This is amongst friends, so let's begin. I'm hoping you have an awesome mate. Actually, yeah, why not? I hope you have an awesome mate. It's something that is quite unique. It's for strength and vitality, all the good stuff. More and more people around the world are trying it as a result of Maté Talk. So yeah, I'm hoping you have an awesome mate. Join me now as we have, actually before I started, Grace says, oh, we're gonna do a 55-minute Maté Talk. I'm like, I don't know. I just let these things flow, let it happen as it needs to happen. So we'll see. You'll see. You would have already seen the time code. I'm yet to discover where this thing lands. Here we go. So the first thing is, okay, I'm gonna do announcements, but I'm gonna do them at the end. All right, so if you wanna have a look at some of the announcements, the headlines to these announcements is, I'm doing an NFC live coming up. There is a promo, free bottle of NUIT NOMADE anywhere around the world. I'll tell you more in the end. Next week, I'm spinning for members. So if you wanna become a member, I'll tell you how. You have a chance to win a curated sample sets from me. And then the last thing, if you love niche perfumery, you want to explore ESXENCE next year in February in Milan. I'm doing a tour. I'd love you to join me. I'll tell you more about that, but look for that at the end. Now, on the weekend, I released a new video by KAJAL called AICAN. AICAN. It's pronounced in many different ways. And even in that video, I was saying AICAN, and I was saying ICAN. AICAN. I'm not sure anyway. It's one of those. The bottom line is this, it's glorious. And one thing that I didn't include in the video because I thought it was a bit too much, but I thought, you know what, as I was preparing, I'm gonna say today, this is where I think this lands. And I called it that it was the warm breath of your lover, in the sense of that there is a sensuality to this fragrance. If you haven't seen this video, or better yet, if you haven't experienced this fragrance, I recommend, well, watch the video, of course, but experience this fragrance. The memory that it brings to me is, years ago I used to film around the world. It was a cool gig. Around the world, hotels and resorts, we used to create content for them. And Sandra would always come with me on these trips. Now we traveled the world. I mean, we went to like Budapest and as far as, and actually we all through New Zealand and the South Pacific. And in this case here, we used to do a lot of work for an island called Castaway Island on the MAMLUK. And out in the middle of nowhere, literally an island. And so we would, you know, you'd work filming, blah, 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 but of an evening, so by about 5 o'clock we were done, and the rest of from 5 o'clock onwards was our time. And we would have dinner, and this is the memory of ICAN, okay? So this is how it all came together anyway. The way that, so this is the thing, there was where the restaurant was, there was an area called Monkey Rock. From a restaurant to Monkey Rock, and we would walk this of an evening. Starlit sky, full moon, or you know, the moon would be red, you know, shining, the water lapping, you could hear this ocean, warm breeze, and we have just finished dinner, so, and kissing there, kissing in this moment. This is ICAN for me. When I smell it, I smell the tropical, the warmth, there's those fruit notes in the beginning. This fragrance, you need to experience it. Honestly, it's a really sexy, I was gonna say sexy, no big deal, I can say that. It's a really sexy fragrance, really gorgeous. Now, if one thing that I did mention in that particular episode is that there is a new Discovery series about to come out. I did it recently for, nearly dropped that, for all things NUIT NOMADE, for those who are maybe not aware of this. So I did a Discovery series on these guys here where we go through it together essentially. So I mean, it's not in real time, but I always say that it's us smelling fragrance in real time because you know we're doing this at the same time as you're watching it. I'm talking to you. Boom. Now the Discovery series for KAJAL is coming out on the 1st of September. So if you'd like to join me on that, you can use the code NFC10. It'll give you a 10% discount. In a lot of cases, you're getting free delivery. So have a look at that. Put in your address. I mean, I know to send to Australia, I think it was like $5, which is very cheap. 1st of September. Join me for that experience. It'll be a lot of fun. Now on the channel, I have a classification system which I love using. So if you're new to the channel, I'm gonna go into it a little bit more. And for those who are new to the channel, you may have also realized that I love all things Xerjoff. There's a Xerjoff collection behind me. Today's episode is all about 5-star general Xerjoff recommendations that I would put forward to you. Now, what does it mean? What's a 5-star general if you are new to this conversation? Now, I like doing a classification system, and the basis is that you are a perfume lover. You've come in from designer fragrances, so you've always been enjoying those, but now you want to get into niche and you want to start exploring. And sometimes, and so just, you know, the classification system is I wish I had this when I first started. This is me hoping or wishing that this could have occurred for me. So I want to give it to you guys. And that is, I want to give it to you guys. So the idea is that you have a new recruit, so you're brand new to niche. So you've come in from designer fragrances and now you've started your niche journey. Then you have a semi-pro, and then you have a veteran, and then you have a 5-star general. And I've added a new one, which is Supreme Leader. And Supreme Leader, there are some Supreme Leader fragrances, but we'll do that at a later stage. Today, if you've missed the earlier conversation on new recruit, semi-pro or veteran when it comes to Xerjoff, I'd recommend you go and check them out if you are brand new to Xerjoff or niche perfumery. But if you've now migrated through and you're at this stage, 5-star general, these are like, these are awesome fragrances. Now, before I started, I did all my notes, and before I started, I'm covered in perfume, and I had Grace. Grace is editing this. Thank you, Grace. Because it's always funny, she can hear me and then she edits this anyway. So I asked her to smell, and it was so funny. It was like a playbook, because the things that I wrote, she was experiencing it just like that. She was actually, her comments coming out, and I even said to her, look, I even wrote this, which was very similar to something that she had said. So my recommendation to you is that if you are new to niche or new to Xerjoff, or even if you're a semi-pro, I don't recommend you go here. You can do it now. This is the last disclaimer. You do you. You do you. This is only a suggestion. These are only recommendations. And as I said, I wish that I had been given this, because sometimes, and one of them is ALEXANDRIA II. When you first come in, everyone talks about ALEXANDRIA II, and they're like, oh my gosh. But now I realize I should have stayed away. I should have stayed away until I had migrated to this more of a sort of 5-star general area to jump in. So for me, ALEXANDRIA II is a 5-star general fragrance. Let me begin. Boom. The first one is RICHWOOD. Now, the 2 reasons why I put RICHWOOD in this 5-star general category. The number 1 reason is that it's very expensive. So it's not a cheap fragrance, whether you get the 100 ml or the 50 ml bottle. It is opulent. It's very, very opulent, and I think the cost of the fragrance goes into the fact that I think the oils, or I believe the oils, are super, super bougie. I put this down so to explain what this fragrance is, and I'll go into it a bit more, but to explain it quickly, this is like old money. This smells, the profile of it reminds me of something that was opulent, or something that is opulent, and of another era. It actually takes me to the French Riviera, and it takes me to the movie To Catch a Thief with Cary Grant and Grace Kelly. For me, Grace Kelly's wearing this. I can smell it as I watch the movie and see her. I feel like she just emanates this rich wood scent profile to her. There is an old, like I said, an old world money to it. Now, for me, this is a compliment monster. I get, when I'm wearing it, one, the projection at sillage, its staying power is phenomenal. I'm covered in perfume, and yet RICHWOOD is constantly just stepping forward, constantly coming, you know, announcing its place in amongst all the other perfumes. And each one of these are heavy hitters, all right, to give you an idea. But RICHWOOD is almost dominating. I mean, there's a lot of other smells happening. A lot of people talk about, with this particular fragrance, there are certain notes that they pick up. There are 4 that people pick up. One is black currant, so you get this very sweet sort of fruit note in that opening. And my answer is yes. I actually put 1 tick against that. When it opens, unlike most Xerjoffs today that have been coming out, it doesn't have a very dominant citrus opening. This one here has, there are citruses in that opening, but it's not, it's that fruity, something different, a fruit note that's coming through, and it's that black currant. The second note that people always talk about is rose, and I put double tick against that. Absolutely, you can detect this beautiful, very subtle rose in the fragrance. The third note that people always talk about is sandalwood. Now, interestingly, by the way, I don't pick up sandalwood. I was even challenged once. I did an episode, here it is. I spoke about Richwood, and someone said, well, how come you don't talk about the sandalwood? I don't pick up the sandalwood note. It does have a woodiness to it, but I don't pick up a sandalwood note. Now, if I look at the Xerjoff website, it doesn't reference a sandalwood. And maybe I'm reading this wrong, but I'm not. From what I'm seeing, it doesn't actually reference sandalwood as one of the notes in there. Now, it might be in there. I'm not saying that it's not, and I'll talk about one later on where I'm picking something up, but it's not listed. So maybe sandalwood is in there, but I don't pick that up. What I do pick up, and for me, what the Richwood is, patchouli. So if you love patchouli, I love that here it is somewhat camphorous, somewhat musty, but mainly on the wood side of things. So and it's not earthy. I think the rose, black currant opening, and that patchouli camphorousness, the blend there is it's a really sexy, sexy fragrance. The other thing that's interesting, and the camphorousness, for me, the patchouli camphorousness is really what dominates this fragrance. It's interesting that the Fragrantica website puts this as a masculine leaning fragrance. I'm gonna say women can wear this. For me, I'm seeing Grace Kelly, as I said, wearing this fragrance back in the 1950 or so film, To Catch a Thief. Massive recommendation. What else did I say? Okay, so this is a very good evening or a formal wear fragrance. So if you go into if you're dressing up, Richwood is it's just gorgeous. As again, it's a projecting monster, it's a sillage monster, it's a fragrance that stays on you, and it's a compliment monster. When I'm wearing it, I'm getting, again, compliments from everyone. People are going, whoa, whatever you're wearing is beautiful. It's one of those fragrances that you don't want to smell up close. It doesn't have, it's an unusual fragrance up close, but its sillage and projection is divine. Boom, there it is. And that wasn't too bad. Okay, let me move on. This next one, I put it down, I gave it a subtitle, and it's The Forgotten One. This is poor ZEFIRO. This is part of the 1861 collection. And it's interesting, even I've gone into like boutiques and stuff like that where they have Naxos and Renaissance side by side. They even have Decas in there in some cases. They never have ZEFIRO. ZEFIRO is like the forgotten one. It's people just don't. I don't know why it doesn't get as much love as it should. It is a little bit more of a challenging fragrance versus its siblings. Naxos, Instant Love, Renaissance, you grow to love and you realize how potent and beautiful this fragrance is. Decas, it becomes a slow burn. You're like, oh, I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden you're like, where have you been all my life? Whereas ZEFIRO always seems to be always just outside. It's like the black sheep of that collection. I did a video here, so have a look at this production. It really celebrates the incense note. And I think maybe incense, as a category, isn't a huge hitter, I'm guessing. Some people just like either love it or hate it. So this does really celebrate and embrace incense as its core theme when it comes to the fragrance. I mentioned that in this video. Actually, I want to tell you, have a look at this video. It's actually a good video. I was very proud of it when I first created it. ZEFIRO is spectacular. Another one where it's not one you want to bury your nose in. You don't want to get too close. I find that when people get up close to it or smell it, off the skin, they sort of recoil backwards. Not recently, quite a while back, I was talking to my sister. I was in the car and she was opposite. So I'd ran down the window and I'm talking, she had been walking around. And we're chatting, chatting, chatting. All of a sudden, so I'm in the car, she's outside, breeze is moving, blah, blah. And we would have been about, I don't know, say 3.5 meters away from each other. She goes, I can smell your perfume. It's really, really beautiful. It's a really beautiful fragrance. And I'm like, what are you detecting? She's like, I don't know, but it's just really beautiful. It's just got all these beautiful things happening. Anyway, she comes around and she smelt it on me and she recoiled and she's like, is that the same fragrance? Is that the same perfume? So what it is, when it opens, it has this green, peppery brightness to it. There are things like Divana, it has things like iommi, it has things like, what else? Sorry, let me, because I wrote it down. Boop, boop, boop. I know Divana's one of them. I know iommi's another. Beep, bop, boom. Man, I wrote it down, but I can't. I'll put it here. There it is. Has these bright notes, and it's just really, it just grabs you so quickly. There is a joy summer in the actual fragrance. It then does dry down to those classic incense note. The difference is that it has a greenness to it. And also there is, and I love this term, honey of the gods. So there's a honey sweet note in there, and you detect that much deeper into the dry down now. It's gorgeous. Honestly, I don't know why it doesn't get as much love as it should, but it's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Now, if you're not overtly comfortable with incense, it's probably not going to be the right thing, but you don't have to be an incense lover. So sometimes there are some incense, like Amouage, have a very strong, very incense-forward style of fragrances, you know, very regal and noble, you know, really powerful. This is not it. This actually has a very soft gentleness to it. And I'm going to say it is the elements of that honey, that honey of the gods that it has in that base. It's gorgeous. It has presence. It holds its own. When I feel that the sillage and projection falls into more of a, probably on that cusp of moderate to high, so it never becomes a body scent or anything, or a low. It always has a very distinct presence to it. Anyway, so go to your local retailer, ask him for the forgotten one, and see if you can have a chance to test that baby out. Carnation. Anyway, I would have put it here, but yeah, Carnation. Carnation does have a clove-like, spicy sort of green sharpness to it, and that's definitely present when you open the fragrance opens. It does really come out, but it's sublime. It's really, really very beautiful. Let me have a little drink. Little drink. All right. Next one. Next one is a gourmand lover, oud lover dream. It's one that is sublime, that is stunning. It's gorgeous. It's a really impressive fragrance. This is MAMLUK. It's interesting that it has. So this is definitely a gourmand, but it's a gourmand oud fragrance, and it does it really, really well. So in this case here, they do say, let me think, yeah, it does state that it has Laotian oud. I found that Xerjoff loves using Laotian oud. From my understanding or in experiencing it, it's a much more subtle oud. I know that there's another beautiful fragrance by Maison Francis Cujon, Oud Satin Mood, that also uses a Laotian oud, and that also has a very sublime caramel rose sort of combination. Gorgeous. If you own Oud Satin Mood, you can own this. It's completely different. And I'll go one more. It doesn't have the projection power that Oud Satin Mood does, but it has a lot more opulence and romance, a lot more sensuality to it than Oud Satin Mood. What I love about this, on the opening, has this caramel honey note. So it's this beautiful, sweet, inviting, just almost, not mouth-watering, but definitely alluring and tempting. In the base, it does have vanilla. So you sandwich, so the oud is sandwiched between these two things. And then the florals in the heart are jasmine and osmanthus. I love osmanthus because it can be used in 3 different ways. I've spoken to a few perfumers, Melfashuni, Oillataguerre, and both of them say that they love using osmanthus because it is such a chameleon. In this case here, I'm gonna say it's the apricot component. This white floral apricot, almost fruity juiciness of the floral with that jasmine. Now, the oud is sandwiched in amongst all this, and it is sublime, honestly. So if you want to go out on a date and create some level of romance and some level of you know, closeness to the individual, oud satin oud is the one to be wearing. Let me just smell this. It's divine. This is the one, so after smelling the different fragrances, Grace decided to put this one, so she is actually testing it herself. And again, her response to it is, she's like, oh, it's yummy, but yummy is, the funny thing is oud has that fecal-like quality to it. So it does have those elements. The oud is present. It hasn't been sort of washed out. The difference is that in amongst those other sort of more gourmand notes that are in the fragrance, it's just, the composition is gorgeous. It's one of those you need to test. I also said here that there is a powderiness to it. Now the problem with that is that the moment you say powderiness, we instantly think there's an iris note or some sort of lipstick note in there. Powderiness in powder. So just think like talcum powder, but even talcum powder has a smell. So don't think that. But a fluffy cloud-like powderiness, this sort of feeling to it. That's what this fragrance also does. There's a powderiness in there. There's a softness, there's a gentleness. Gorgeous. Massive recommendation. I'm actually going to do another lineup shortly. There's going to be a series 4, so I've done these ones here, lineups on different Xerjoffs. MAMLUK is going to be in the next lineup coming through, and again, just massive recommendation. I'm giving you guys an early heads up on that. Boom, I think I'm done. Okay, I wrote here, and this is true. So it has great potency and power when it comes to sillage and projection. So I'm putting it also into that, from the bottom end of the high into moderate. So it does have a nice push, but it's, you know, it's not a room filler essentially. There's a mystery to the fragrance. These different notes, and I think it's the oud. So you're getting the caramel, the vanilla, you're getting all these sweet gourmand notes, but that oud is making it do something different where it doesn't become a gourmand fragrance, you know, overtly sweet or pastry-like or whatever it may be. The oud gives it a bit of an edge that creates a sense of mystery. You're like, what are you wearing? What is that? What am I detecting in the air? MAMLUK. As a date night fragrance, forget about it. Big recommendation. All right, let me move on. Next one. Boom. I'm putting it in only because this needs to be one experience. I think I have spoken about this fragrance almost to the point that people are like rolling their eyes. Again, ALEXANDRIA II. So if you have heard me speak about this, you know where I stand. If this is the first time that you're hearing me speak about this, then the best way to describe this fragrance is think when you're trying to meditate and you're trying to create that stillness in your mind, that stillness in your soul, where your brain and all the chatter that happens really lowers itself down and you almost become into a Zen-like position. This is the olfactory equivalent. So this fragrance creates that in me. Just the moment I smell it, there's almost like a lowering of vibrations. There's a peacefulness that comes around. I also talk about how that this is more than just notes. For me, this is an entire composition. This is about the roundness of the fragrance. Having said that though, I do need to acknowledge that there are certain notes that create the power and potency of this fragrance. And one of them in particular is the oud. Again, it's using, I think this time around it uses Cambodian. Or did I, was it Laotian again? Laotian. So it's Laotian oud again. The thing that I love about this is the incredible balance and blend between almost contrasting notes. So it has the sweetness of this apple, but I've never really detected to say, oh yes, I can detect an apple note, but it has a sweet fruit-like quality in that opening. That sweetness does stay somewhat in it. There are things like the lavender, and the lavender also plays a significant role. I think, if I'm not mistaken, actually, rose is another key player. Actually, I'll put him here. But it's all being sort of surrounded by this oud. I always feel that this is a noble fragrance. This is almost a noble in both the scent profile and noble in the art of perfumery. So the perfumer has done, this is the niche perfumery. For me, this is at the top of the tree. This is the prime example of why we get into niche perfumery, what the joy that exists in this artistic experience. ALEXANDRIA II. I mean, again, I'm gushing like as I always do about this fragrance. Big recommendation, but if you are new or if you're migrating through those classifications, wait till you become 5-star general, because if you come in too early, which is what I did with ALEXANDRIA II, there was a lot of talk about it, and I jumped in really quick. I'm like, all I could get was oud, and I'm like, this thing is sassy. But it wasn't a fecal sassy, but I could detect that there was something like, what is going on? Whereas now it's that meditative Zen-like position, you know, just boom. Anyway, I was gonna do more, but you get the idea. Beep Bop Book composition, yep, noble, yes. 24 hours plus, that's the other thing. 24 hours plus. Sorry, I'm looking at my time because this is about to pop, so this will be the last one that I'll change. But 24 hours plus on this fragrance comfortably. I'll wake up in the morning and I will be zenned out with ALEXANDRIA II, humming, and, you know, sort of giving me that strength. I'm gonna stop. Let me see. Beep, bop, boop, boop. Yeah, I was gonna say there's spice notes happening. I wrote down some other things. But again, it's the roundness of that composition. Incredible, incredible fragrance. I'll be back in a second. And back. Welcome back, everyone. All right, so the next one. We're moving deeper into that oud territory, and this one here is Ether. This is used to be originally under the Chemi brand. Xerjoff sort of incorporated into their own brand. Let me just point out to you, this bottle is gorgeous. It is the most tactile, and I love the way the Xerjoff do things. They're very clever. The lid is gorgeous. It has this, you know, this inlay, and anyway, the whole bottle, I mean, it's stunning, absolutely stunning. Interestingly, the fragrance when it opens is quite pungent. It's quite like, bleh. What in the world is happening? I remember when I got this fragrance very early on. I was testing it and I was enjoying it. So for me, that experience of it was fantastic. I first got it, my son Nelson wore it, and I remember we were in the kitchen and he had just come in, and I knew that he'd been testing. So part of my brain knew that he'd been smelling some fragrances. Anyway, he came in and I thought that he had passed wind. And I'm like, my man, what, you know, why are you doing that here? We're in the kitchen. And then, without saying anything, because at first I'm like, come on, man, come on. Why are you doing this in the kitchen? And then I realized he must be wearing Ether. And I said to him, are you wearing a nude fragrance? He's like, yeah, the new one. And I'm like, whoa. So this has a very, actually, here's another one. So when Grace is smelling the different fragrances just now and came to Ether, this is probably now about 30 minutes into the dry down, okay? Smelling Ether, and she recoils backward and she's like, that's nasty. Whoa. Actually, her definition was, it smelled like a sweet poop banya, no, horse poo-like. And I wrote here, sweet fecal-like. So to think that, like I said, this fragrance here is in line with that description. So it has oud, in the base. Interestingly, it's just noted as oud as opposed to attributed to a location. So it doesn't say it's Laotian or Cambodia or anything of that nature. just oud. So it gives me the impression that it's actually a constructed note, that it's not actually an actual natural ingredient. And this is probably why that fecal-like, that real poopiness was constructed that way. It comes out so quickly out of the gate. It has, on first spray, there is a very distinct poo-like nature to this fragrance, to the point where I thought Nelson had passed wind, and Grace mentioned that it smelled like horse poo or something to that degree. What I love about the fragrance is, and you think to yourself, why in the world would you want to wear this? Because it's really, really just divine. It's invigorating. It's a fragrance that literally brings sunshine into your life. It literally sort of explodes with energy. It explodes with effervescent sort of power. I love that there is a balance in here. Okay, so in amongst, so where before, yeah, the oud is still in the base. Okay, so the oud is in the middle. On the top part of it, super beautiful, bright, a number of citruses, so lemon, orange, mandarin, bergamot, and actually, if you look at the Xerjoff website, it lists the location. So from Calabria or from Reggio Calabria was one, the other ones were, oh, I'll put them here, I forgot. These beautiful citrus notes. Then there are all these more aromatic, woody notes, things like cypriol and, oh, I wrote it down, cypriol, lavender, pine, sage. So these beautiful herbal aromatic herbal notes, these aromatic herbal notes that are in there. And it literally, the fragrance is constantly fighting for dominance in all of these things. So it actually, the things that I always detect are citrus, aromatics, and wood notes, with the oud constantly in that battle. And it's these notes, these families are constantly trying to be the leader of the actual fragrance. Eventually, when it dries down, I'm deeper in the dry down now. So I get this beautiful lavender, slightly woody, so there's a bit of aromatics, but the fecal poopiness is still there. So that oud touch is still available to you. But it's invigorating. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous summer fragrance. Beautiful, bright, sunny day. Sometimes ouds can be a bit heavier in sort of really hot weather, or for me at least, for me. Whereas this baby here, Ether, is spectacular for as a summertime, going out, sunshine. You can go to the beach in this baby and it will not wash away. It'll stay with you. You'll go in the water, come out, be bubble, and you'll still be smelling absolutely glorious. I find also, again, being that it has this oud accord or this oud note, that the anchoring of it all is quite strong. It does have a nice longevity. So you're getting, again, 20 plus hours out of this fragrance. You wake up in the morning, you'll be able to smell ether on your body or on you. And when it comes to its projection and sillage, again, I'm going to put it into more the high when it finally settles down a bit more into a moderate, but it definitely has a lot of presence, nice push on the fragrance. Yeah, I've worn this in winter. It's gorgeous in winter, but I feel like it sings better in summer. It's a beautiful summer oud fragrance. Boom. All right, one more, and then we are completed our journey through all things. I've left the crazy one for the end. So I've discovered that Golden DALLAH is the wacky one. It's the unusual one. I've also, and I didn't think so. I fell in love with this one very quickly, but it was only through experiencing and through sharing with others that I've seen that it actually has a very strong camps. Either you love or don't like it at all. And then I looked at Fragrantica, and Fragrantica is almost the same thing. So people are writing like, you know, what is this madness? What is this fragrance? And others are going, greatest fragrance ever created. So to start off with, this is beautiful winter. This is the most incredible winter fragrance that you're likely to own. And I would actually encourage everybody, this as a winter fragrance is incredible, spectacular. It will, no matter how many layers of clothes you have on, it will still push itself out. And I always spray on skin. So to give you an idea, I never spray on my clothes. So I don't wear or put on my clothes on and I spray first on my skin and then get dressed. and this thing will just push itself out through all of it. It will last forever. It has incredible longevity. It does have great potency. And I feel that it also, I think I may have tried it in winter, or maybe I didn't. Oh, sorry, in summer. For me, this is a winter fragrance. I can't even imagine trying to wear this thing in summer. I think it would just be like, not cloying, but there's a deep ambery heaviness to the fragrance. Okay, so it's interesting. On opening, when I first experienced it, and I discovered this when I first tested very, very early on, and before in spraying it again, I'm like, man, it's so pronounced. There's a very rich roasted hazelnut note. There's no hazelnut listed on the Xerjoff website, so there's nothing there. A lot of people pick up a cannabis note. I don't pick up this green cannabis, but I do pick up a very rich, robust, roasted hazelnut. It on the opening is there. As it begins to dry down, it comes away. There's still, for me, because maybe it's inception, I'm still detecting a slight hazelnut note, but I think it could be, there is a coffee accord, and for me, it almost also smells like if you burn coffee. So if you're roasting coffee beans or something of that nature, or even if you percolating coffee, if you leave it too long, it does have a much more richer, sort of almost burnt sort of smell profile to it. I feel like that is exactly what's happening here. It's interesting too, there is a bitterness to this fragrance. It's not one, so I don't recommend that you bring up close to your nose and breathe in. You'll recoil backwards. There is a sassiness to it. It does have oud, interestingly. It has, this time around, a Cambodian oud. And I think in these other ones, so the ones that have more subtlety to it, MAMLUK, ALEXANDRIA II, they state that they have a Laotian oud. Now, I'm going to say that there must be a difference. So obviously, Cambodian must have a bit more punch to it, a bit more sass or something to that nature. Burnt coffee. Yep. Okay. The other thing. So now in the dry down, you get more of this. Is this rich cacao nuttiness to it? It does have tonka bean, and sometimes tonka bean is attributed or sort of leaning towards vanilla, like a woody vanilla. I think, and I've smelt the rawness of a tonka bean, and it has an almond-like nuttiness quality to it. So in the dry down, this nutty, the burnt coffee component of it is definitely present. It's very pronounced. The roasted, that's the roastedness of it. And that's it. I'm getting tired now. Holy cow. All of a sudden my sugar levels went whoop, down to the floor. Let me just finish off here because, I think I've said everything. Ambery, inviting, comforting. Okay, yes. Okay, here it is. This is the last thing. I feel like the sillage of this has this ambery, inviting, comforting scent profile to it. When I'm wearing it, there is this familiarity to it. You don't smell like a coffee shop, so I don't think that you'll smell like a Starbucks or anything like that. But there's this ambery, and I think it's that roasted nuttiness that the fragrance has. It's super inviting. It's very alluring. Very, it sort of, it draws you in. However, this is not a date night fragrance. Give you a heads up. This is going out, you want to make a statement, you're now, in a place where there's a lot of people, it could be an outdoor area, and you want to create a statement. This is a statement maker, right? So you have a bit more presence, but you're not taking anybody, you're not going home with anyone, because when you get up close to this fragrance, it is bitter, it's unusual, and it's unsettling. Because when you put your nose close, you're like, what in the world? There's almost like a greenness in there too. It's weird. It's unusual. It's sassy. It's a wild ride. That's what it is. Boop, beat a boop. We're done. Oof. Yes, that was. Like I said, I think my sugar levels have just like gone to the floor. There you have it. Incredible fragrances, these are for 5-star generals, massive recommendations. If you want to check out the rest, these are the other videos I'd recommend. Go through and, you know, I mean, again, you do you, but if you want to, yeah, I'd go through these first if you're brand new before you jump into here. All right, boom. Let me start the clock. Let me give you some announcements. I mentioned earlier that we are doing an NFC live. Ilias is the gentleman who's a member of the channel, loves all things saffron, and we're going to be talking about saffron fragrances. He's also has given me some saffron from Greece, so it's going to be somewhat tactile. We're going to be experiencing some new things. He will be, so the way I like to do lives is they share the space with me. So he's going to dial in, we'll be able to see Ilias, and we'll be able to hear more about the fragrances that he has. These are the dates and times across the world. If you can join us, I'd love to see you guys there, and it's a chance for us to connect. You know, now you can ask me questions, and I love using the NFC Lives as an opportunity to engage more one-on-one, whereas here I'm just, you know, talking to a camera. The next thing is I'd love you or invite you guys to become members of the channel. It's a great support to us. That's the classic, or that's the main point. That it's a huge support to us. It's a great way to help out the channel. It's very cost effective. $4 Aussie, and these are the prices across the world. So it's yeah, it's cost effective, as I said. Now, what I like doing, two things that are connected to the membership. One is access to Discord. There's an incredible Discord server, and it is lively in there. There's a number of members actively engaged with constantly creating different sort of channels of conversation points that people want to talk. This is the collection, the different collections that people have across the world, and you can raise questions. There are general themes that you can talk about. Fragrance of the day, there's a whole bunch of great things in there. So by becoming a member, you have access to Discord. And then at the end of every month, I like to spin and invite you guys, whoever wins, to tell me fragrances that you love, and I'll send you out 10 different fragrances or samples. These are legit samples, by the way, so I won't decant. This is actual samples from the companies. So I'll send that out to you anywhere in the world. So become a member. Become a member. The next one is, now leading into that, there is a promo running. And the promo is that all you got to do is put this rocket so that I can find you easy. That's the essence of it. Put this rocket. Name a fragrance that you would love to receive, should you win, from the NUIT NOMAD collection. Now, if you are new to NUIT NOMAD and want to know what these babies are all about, you can do my Discovery series, use the code NFC10, 10% discount, free delivery across the world, and then you can follow me in real time as we explore these fragrances. Now, if you would like to win one for free anywhere in the world, just put the rocket and tell me the one that you would like to win. You'll go into the draw. Now, if you're a member, you'll get double entry. So you'll get your wedge will be bigger on the actual wheel. If you're a subscriber, the only catch is you have to be a subscriber, just a heads up. I am looking for this red dot when it comes to putting you into the wheel. So please subscribe, and you'll automatically go into that, and you'll get an entry into the promo. Boom. All right, last thing. There is a thing called ESXENCE. It is a trade show that happens every year. It is the mecca of all things niche perfumery. This is where 300 plus exhibitors from around the world, all niche perfumery, come and gather together. Now, it is a trade show designed for the industry. So this is now wholesalers and retailers that all come and explore the different fragrances that are there, you know, to include in their shops, blah, blah, blah. On the last day, so it's a 4-day event, on the last day, it opens up to the general public. Now, that means two things. One, it becomes madness in the sense that there's a lot of people who want to go in and explore these fragrances. It's madness also inside the actual venue itself, because now, you know, there's people everywhere. Everybody's sort of jostling for space to test the new fragrance from whoever it might be. So myself and my business partner, Kevin, we've got a touring company called KM Fragrance Tours. At the end of this video, you'll see the full display of what's happening next year. We're doing a tour in ESXENCE, and we're going to be navigating you through for the morning. Now, in the morning, we would have already made appointments, so people will know, the brands will know that we're coming. They'll give us of their time. In a lot of cases, they have private space, so we'll be in that private space away from the general public. Will have a chance to engage one-on-one with these individuals, experience new fragrances that they have just released. Then we'll have lunch together. We'll also have dinner together that evening. But one other experience is that we will be now doing a one-on-one session with Fragrance du Bois. They don't actually exhibit in ESXENCE. It's noisy. So they have a private suite in a hotel. So they're going to be hosting us. We'll be able to experience their fragrances and be able to experience all the new ones. So if you want to join myself and Kevin on this tour, jump on our website, check it out here, and book a spot. There are limited numbers, so give you a heads up. We've actually sold more than half the tour, so there's a few spots left. So if you are interested, love to see you guys there. And that's it. At the end of this video, if you want to keep watching, there is a bit more explanation about that. There's some videos in there that you can check out. I feel like I ran a marathon, baby. Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a nice breakup. I've enjoyed doing my lineup of all things Xerjoff. I think I've shared many times before that I do enjoy Xerjoff as a brand. Really enjoy wearing their fragrances. I always get complimented whenever I'm wearing a Xerjoff. I'm always getting like, "Whoa, what are you wearing? What is that?" etc., etc. So they're awesome statement makers when it comes to a beautiful perfume. See you guys all on the next Maté Talk. I've been in love with niche perfumery for some time now, and I also love travel. Now we've married these two things together and created KM Fragrance Stores. 2025 is all about Italy. There are 2 tours happening, one in February, the ESXENCE tour. You're gonna wanna join us on this one-day event. And then in September, we have an 8-day luxury tour. Rome, Milan, Florence, travel, good food, fragrances, bada bing baby.
You're gonna wanna come with us. ESXENCE is the biggest perfume show that happens in the calendar year. Now this is where you're going to be surrounded by 400 niche fragrance brands. We're gonna give you a guided tour of the day. The ESXENCE tour is open now. We've already had a number of guests come and book their spots.
Then in September, if you wanna now slow down the pace, 8-day luxury. We're in conversation with a number of beautiful Italian brands in each of those key cities. Those dates are locked and loaded. So if you want to join us for that, make sure you reach out to us to find out more. We look forward to an exciting 2025 as we explore niche perfumery, travel, and Italy.
We'll see you there.